Some say it's all about 1925 and beyond. The podcast. KC 100 year celebration with Pete A. Kennedy and Marlon A. Kennedy.
Welcome again to the 1925 and Beyond podcast. I am your host, Pete A. Kennedy. I am here with my big brother, co-host, Marlon A. Kennedy. And again, we have a special guest right out of Kingston College. Just to give you some credit, I went to the high school between the years of 1992 and 1995. Played Colts and Money Cup 93-94. At least I won something. I won Colts in 1994. Played Money Cup 1995 and then moved on from there. Let me turn it over to my big brother, co-host, Marlon A. Kennedy, because we can't hold up this guest. Marlon, your turn.
All right, thank you, Pete. Welcome everybody to another episode of 1925 and Beyond. Similar to Pete, I'm a KC old boy. I'm with our guest today. I'm somewhat shameful to mention that I went to KC from 1986 to 1993. We have a very senior Fortis brother with us today. And it's a pleasure to have with us in our midst Errol Alberga. Errol, yes. Welcome.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So Errol is a very accomplished architect. How we do this is that we use our guests to go through their history and their bio without having to reel off all the accomplishments. And this will be a very good episode for us because of what Errol has done personally and also what he has done towards KC. So Errol, in true fashion of this podcast, we're going to allow you to kick things off by just telling us a bit about yourself before you went to KC. What was your family life like and where you grew up and so forth?
Okay. I went to a prep school, but unfortunately, my father had moved me to Central Branch. Mm-hmm. And then what was it? It was, Tracy, remember which one it was? No. Anyway, we had a problem with polio at Central Branch. So my father moved me away, and my sister. So we virtually missed a year at school. We went to Sodomere Prep School before, and then we went back. So I was technically a year behind my colleagues at that time. It set me back a year in terms of going to Kingston College. People like Dr. Robert One was in the same form with me, but he went ahead of me, and I was behind him. Uh-huh. That was in 1958 when I went to Kingston College. Very simple. My father was a member at Kingston College, and he wanted to make sure his first child, son, to follow him. So that's when I went into Kingston College.
So do you know what, not to cut you, Sir Errol, do you know what year your dad went to Kingston College?
1925 was when the school started. No, he wasn't there yet. He was about
say, at least we've talked about one, because we have yet to find somebody who have some connection to the very first beginning of Kingston College. So I hope that was, but you know,
he was about 5 years after the school started.
1930.
Yes, I think that's what it is.
Okay.
So and he was a sportsman, you know. He ran at champs. I think he ran the mile. It was relay doing the mile. I don't think he won it, but he participated.
Yes.
He was a good cricketer. Used to play for Kingston College. And in later years, he was at Melbourne Park, where he was I would call a medium pace bowler. Again, I followed him. I could not get into the KC cricket team. And I tell you, I tried Coles, I couldn't make it. I tried Sunlight, but here's the joke now. I used to play in the second 11, and I used to bowl down everybody. I'm a left arm spinner.
Yeah.
So what would happen now is that Lenny Smith, who was the captain and the medium pace bowler, and he used to bowl into the ribs. So every match we used to play, I would get 5, and Mirage, the off spinner, would get 4, or vice versa. So the two of us used to bowl down the team, apart from Lenny, because Lenny used to get some wickets.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was doing well, and then at church in the morning, it was announced now that I had made the team for the Sunlight Cup. That was a Thursday. So Thursday morning. So Thursday evening, the captain, Daddy Neal, and Adrian Strawn was the vice captain. They said, let us do a practice match before. Well, let me tell you, ball went way up in the air, and I stood under it, and it fell behind my head. Missed it totally. The next one came on the ground, and I put my body down there waiting for the thing, and it hit a stone, and I ducked it. So the stone went over my head. So at the end of the match, I think the captain and the vice captain said, boy, we can't play him now because we don't want to hide him. So I never did play Sunlight.
Yeah.
But I played second 11 and bowled on the team most times.
Yeah.
The closest I got to Sunlight was earlier than the second 11. So I went to Excelsior earlier to look at the team that they were playing. And they were short. So they said, put on your clothes and come and play. So I spent about 2 or 3, well, not 2 or 3 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes until the other players came.
Yeah.
And the ball didn't come near me at all. So I went back to KC for the second 11. But that was how the cricket went.
Yeah.
Wow.
So tell us about so apart from that was your athletic prowess.
I used to
at
run,
KC.
I used to run.
Mm-hmm.
I used to run with people like Billy Miller and Rupert Eilert, and I had a good start. I could be up front at 30 out of 100, but by the time I reached 50, I'm round the back.
Well, Errol, your race off a stop at 35 meters, then yeah.
It looks so, but I used to run 220, and the one who in my class, a fellow named McDonald, he eventually became the captain of the team. None of us knew him as a runner, and we used to have a thing on a Friday evening where one week you'd run 200, another one you'd run 100, and relays and so on. And I never forget it. I ran the 220 with this fellow behind me. Never heard of him playing before. And all I could hear when we reached 100, I still have 120 to go. I hear some heavy feet coming behind me. And he fly past me like I wasn't going anywhere. And that is when we realized he was a very good runner, and eventually became captain of the
team.
KINGSTON College team.
Wow.
So that's how life is.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us about the academic side of things now, because what was that like for you at KC during that time?
All right. I went to KC in 1958. I was in a form called 1D. 1D was, and 1C did Spanish, 1A and 1B did French.
We heard of it. We heard of it, yes.
Right. So when we got results of our work, we used to have about 36 students in the class. I would somewhere be 20, 22 out of it. So I really wasn't a very exceptional person. So I went that way right the way up to 1962, which was when we were doing O-levels. Well, it was senior Cambridge at the time.
Yeah.
So I failed miserably in that one. I didn't like Spanish. Mr. Forrest used to tell me, you're going to sorry about not doing the Spanish because at some point you're going to need it. And sure as fate, I went to Mexico later on in years, and I was doing a project down there, just looking around at a project. historical thing. And I went into an area where nobody could speak English. So I couldn't eat my breakfast because none of us could talk to each other. And I thought of Mr. Forrest. I said,
Boy,
boy, he was really on the job and he knew exactly what was going to happen.
boy,
Anyway,
Errol, you wouldn't even attempt a little Spanglish. You have something named Spanglish, mixed up between Spanish and English, little bit. That was something you could have make up.
Right now I'm trying, I'm trying now.
Well, as you said that, sir, with all the interviews we've done, the subject French stood out in Kingston College back then. I don't know what it is now compared to Spanish. Every man know a little bit of French or did something French-wise, but I have yet to meet an old boy that's a boy, yes, he, had some success to Spanish and used it. So it's shocking to hear going all the way back to those days. It's somewhat, somewhat the same.
I did Spanish right up to fifth form, but I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So I dropped it just before we were doing senior Cambridge.
Yeah.
Where my subjects were maths, and I used to do woodwork. Nobody could beat me in the woodwork shop.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Chemistry, and so anything that I could use my hands on,
Yes.
that was good for me.
Yeah.
So after I failed in the senior Cambridge first, fortunately, Mr. Forrest made another group for us because some of the boys who had failed came from Georges and so on. And the form was called 5F. And I used to say that sounds like 5 failure.
I didn't want to say it.
But what I did after I failed, there were some younger fellas in my area that one was at George's, one was at Wolmer's. And I said, boy, I can't make them little boy come behind me and leave me behind. So what we used to do, we used to go to the library.
Mm-hmm.
And the four of us used to work with each other and for the 8 weeks of because at that time, it was December. January was the first of the school year, and December was the end of the year. Mm-hmm. So we would go there. We would go there. But by that time, now it had changed.
Mm-hmm.
So starting now in what was it, June, July, and you end in
May. Start September and May.
Yeah, right.
May, June.
So I buckled down on that one, and I actually left school after doing it because I had missed it in 92 and I did it in 93, and I left school at Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So the school thing now has changed to I think it was July. So when the results came out, I was now out of school. So I had a job with my mother, used to work at the Ministry of Finance.
Mm-hmm.
She knew the chief architect. And of course, I used to do technical drawing and so on.
Okay.
So he used to help me out on Christmas holidays. I would come and work for 2 weeks or 3 weeks and so on. But the main thing was that when the results came out, I will tell you, when I left school, my parents wouldn't allow me to go to anybody's home while they were still at school. The only time it would be Friday or Saturday that I could go to somebody's home. But what I had to do then, working, and I am going to, at Odeon, a triple bill. Then I go to Realtor for a double bill, and I was bored to tears. Anyway, results came, and guess what? I came second out of 170 odd students.
Wow.
In that. So Mr. Forrest and my father both come from Black River.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you that my father also took me to Black River to be born.
Really?
That's how he was. So I'm the first child, first boy, only boy, I should say. And Mr. Forrest knew my father, he was older than my father, but they all were in in um in Backrow at some point. Mr. Forrest went to Monroe. My father left and came into Kingston College. So he called my father and he said, I got good results. Would I like to come back to school? Well, I jumped at it right away because I was bored to tears
Yeah.
in the architectural branch. So I went back, but what happened now is that I had missed a term. In fact,
Okay.
I missed 2 terms. So what I had now to do to A levels was I only had 4 terms, which would be the normal 6 terms. So I wanted to do AdMaths, but I couldn't deal with it. So I ended up with, well, Mr. Forrest asked me when I went to see him, he said, I would like to have a A-levels thing with woodwork. Would you willing to do it? Because it's something new to the school. So I said, sure. So it was me alone now in the woodwork shop at that level. The master for the woodwork shop, he said to me, well, I can't help you any further, I can only give you a few books to read. So I went with it. At the end of the year now, when we're working for A levels, I had to do the exam was I had to build something. I made what we'd call it now, a night table. I had to build a box to put it in, to send it to England for them to assess it and send it back to me. It was a 4-year for one of the, well, we did technical drawing as well, but there was a 4-year for doing the practical part of it. So the master and myself, after 2 hours, we would go and eat lunch together. And then we would go back and finish up the program. So woodwork, I did very well at it. We had technical drawing, I did very well at that. Then I changed from art. I didn't do art up to the O levels, and I changed and did art going forward in A levels. So I got a reasonable pass in that one. But the big one now was chemistry. As I tell you, I had very good eye-ear coordination. So when I did the practical for the chemistry, there was a teacher called John Earl. He eventually went to the head of Calabar. But at that time, I got a 1, which was the highest mark you could ever get. And he said to me, he had never seen a 1. So while I'm doing it, well, what's that?
In chemistry, right?
In chemistry, yes.
Wow.
While I'm doing well at the practical, I'm barely passing the theories.
Theory.
Yes, but I still got a pass.
Yeah.
So I got through all 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I left school. Well, the background on that now is that when I had wanted to go back to school and I was working at the architects branch, the deputy for the deputy chief architect knew my mother and used to give me the holidays. Now I'm working now in there. And when Mr. Forrest asked me if I wanted to come back, I went to the deputy architect and asked him. I told him that I wanted to leave. He said, but you don't need to go because I can get a scholarship for you. I said, no, I really need to go back. And he said, okay. And when I did the A levels, I went back to him and they made a special school for me. Not school, special for team, what they'd call it at the ministry, was a student architect. They made that. And I worked there for a year. But the thing that was interesting was that the architect used to tell me, well, I'm sure I can get a scholarship for you. So we went to the Ministry of Finance to have this meeting for them to talk to us. There was another fellow there from I think it was technical, one of the technical schools. So I went in first. And when I opened the door, who do you think was looking at me? the chief architect, who I knew, and he did tell me from before that he would get me a scholarship, and so said, so done.
Wow.
So that is how school went.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's good.
That,
So,
yeah.
so you got that scholarship. Where did you study?
I got a scholarship to England
And what
to
was
study
what
architecture.
university?
It was a polytechnic.
Okay,
Thames Polytechnic.
Thames. Okay.
It was a low below, what you call it? Well, I don't know what you would call it.
No, but I understand. I understand.
Yeah,
I understand.
but it was a polytechnic because it was a technical school.
Yeah, man. I understand.
We didn't deal with theory and practice.
Yeah.
And all.
Similar
It was a different-
to how CAS started out before they
Right.
transition
Well,
to
as you
UTech.
said,
Yes.
as you said, Cass, you know, I just going to tell you what happened.
Mhm.
Years later, when I came back from there, the architects before me were all trying to get a school of architecture in Jamaica.
Mhm.
They tried at Trinidad, Brother Eric Williams, Dr. Eric Williams, who he said, no, we don't need one. We can buy this. We can buy the architects from abroad.
Mhm.
Then they went again and spoke to the engineering department. They said, we'd love to have you, but it has to be a 4-year school. We said, no, you can't do architecture in 4 years. And I'm talking to you about the architect who who designed
Mhm.
our what do you call it? Our tracking, what do you call it? Our stadium.
National Stadium.
The stadium was done by an architect Wilson Chong, one of the most outstanding architects we have had in Jamaica. And when I became president of the Institute of Architects, there was an architect from the government town planner. His name was Bill Hodges. And he used to teach them at CAST, teach them in technical drawing and so on.
Yeah.
And one day he said to me, why don't we approach Dr. Sangster? Yeah, Dr. Sangster. And I said, well, you are working with him up there. Talk to him and hear what he would say. You know what he said to us? Why it took so long to come?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And that was the start of architecture in University of Technology, which he built up over time.
Yeah, which is now a very popular school and well sought after as well. As I hear, the program is very good. Very good.
My daughter went there.
Nice.
She was one of the first students who graduated out of that school. So it's something that. But anyway, let me go back to England.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked for a year after school, and I went to England in, I think it was September 1966. I didn't have to go through some of those exams because I had done 3 of the subjects already. So my term was really to do some artistic work, do some technical drawing. Didn't do too badly. It was a group one with quantity surveying at the same time, and we had to do structural engineering and so on. More technical than you would find in a normal education place. So it was a course for the first 3 years. And at the end of each course, we would either go into a contractor's office for 2 weeks, and then the next year we would go into an area where they build projects that you can put together, like a school or a new building for a classroom, and they build it out of wood and then move it by a truck and so on. So we learned that kind of technicalities. And in the third one, we went into what was called the General Council, GLC, Jamaica. Anyway, that's where we went, and we did some in-house training for the 2 weeks. And on that one, we had to go on a building site. Now, we were going on a building site on a 20-story building in a what do you call it though? It wasn't really a, what do you call it, Chris? Yeah, the up and down.
Elevator.
Elevator, man. But it
Mm.
was on the outside of the
Oh.
building, and it had just a little bar around the
Mhm.
side. And this thing is going up at mills times, you know, running fast. You know
Mhm.
what I had to do? Sit down in the bottom of the thing. I couldn't stand up
Hold on
because,
for
you know,
dear
it was
life.
running so fast.
Fast.
But anyway, that was part and parcel of one of the things. So I came back home after 3 years to do a year out, which all of us would do.
Mhm.
Some went to, I used to talk to them after, some of the students. Some of them would make tea for the architects there. Then I would give them something to trace and so on. I fortunately came home and got into an architect's office called Caribbean Partners at the time. Said not there anymore. But when I went to and tried to get into different places. Everybody said, we'd love to have you, but we'd love any space. And when I went to this one, he said to me, when you want to start? Tomorrow? I said, no, give me the rest of the week. And he gave me a little old car that I would drive. And I was head of the what do you call it now? No, it was a team of, when you do it in the office, like, what do you call the draftsman? Yeah, I was
Okay.
head of the draftsman. So I was working on two architects, a 500-bedroom hotel in Ocho Rios on the hill, building. If you go to Ocho Rios right now, that whole town center was done in that office. And when I was leaving, the head one said to me, this is the head partner, he said, I'm going to give you a special job for you to do. And I'm going to give you paid for that so that you can go to England. And I did it. So when I went back to England, I was way ahead of everybody.
Yeah. Because you got the exposure and the experience.
Yes, they were
Yes.
just barely doing little things, and I was doing it at
Mhm.
big heavyweight. Yes. Oops, what happened here? Something came up. You're looking at that one?
Yeah, but that's too early, Pete.
Okay, this is not the one I thought it was representing when he was.
No, sir.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, all right. So just to speed up for you,
Mhm.
we did we did the 1 year out now where we were dealing with clients. For example, somebody who did a design and wanted two of the architects who teach you, but said the people didn't like it because of ABC. So they invited him to come in, and we broke out into groups, and each group, like 4 or 5 people, would talk with him about what happened, why they didn't like his building, and so on. And for whatever reason it was, they always asked me to chair. So I would chair it. I had a lady from Finland, I had a fellow from Norway, I had a fellow from Trinidad, and the four of us used to work for the next 2 years.
Mhm.
So when I had to talk to the architect who they didn't like his work, I criticized his building. So after that, no, we have to go out and do our own design, and then he's going to come back and critique us. so, so he was waiting out for me.
Yes. Yes.
So anyway, he asked me some tough questions and I answered it, and he actually said to me, "You did very well."
Okay, good.
So it was that kind of thing. The final year now is for you to do a dissertation, and I came home, went to the Institute of Jamaica. I wanted to do my thing on Georgian society, not Georgia, Georgian architecture in Jamaica, the development of a style. And again, I show you something about what happened. The chairman of the school, fortunately, the one that my lecturer used to work in Trinidad, but he was there. He works outside, but he comes on days and work with us. So the chairman came when I told him what I wanted to do. You know what he said? How am I going to know that he's not fooling us? This is the chairman saying, fortunately, I had a fellow who worked in Trinidad. He said, he can't fool me, chair, because I used to work there and he can't fool me.
Yeah.
He said, okay. That's the kind of thing you had to go through.
Yeah.
Anyway, I did right through with that. Then you had to do a design for a building. And I designed a school of architecture for the University of West Indies. And we had a startup. And that same architect who worked at Trinidad, when he looked at my design, what he said to me? He said, boy, I don't think you do so well on this one. He said, look here, you drink rum? I said, no. He said, you having rum at your house? I said, I have for friends, but not me. I don't drink it.
Yeah.
It was Easter time. So he said to me, look, man, tear up that paper and start over again because you can do much better than that.
Yeah.
See him said to me.
Yeah.
So this fellow from Trinidad, he used to have a car and he used to come to my house. And we would work from, say, 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Then we work on my project. And then we have lunch. And then we would work from 1 to 4
on his project.
On his project. And we did that for 2 weeks. And we did up our own drawings and we had everything. So we had 2 committees working at the same time.
Simultaneously, yes.
With 2 different lecturers looking at it. You see, when I pin up my drawing, they close down that one and everybody come to my own. I've never seen nothing like that.
Yeah.
So
wow.
We went to at the end of the school, we had to deal now with some professors from different schools. So you had to pin up your drawings, you had to show them your dissertation. And I don't remember the name of the fellow, but he came to me when I had to, because you take it one by one. But they have several ones doing different students. So he shook my hand and he said, this book, he said, there's a wife and husband that do tropical architecture in Africa. And when he read my own in Jamaica, he said that man, they too don't have what we have. We have done it much better than what he has done. And then he looked at the drawings and I got commendation in design.
Nice.
So I went home. Well, I didn't leave because people know, because I got the scholarship from Jamaica. It was really a school from what I call it, from England, but they give you out of the school here to go up. So I'm there working on this scholarship. And when I had finished, they called me home and said, I have to come home. I said, I'm not coming home because I am just a graduate and I want to be fully qualified before I come home.
Yeah.
I said, fine. All this time, when I came home after my 3rd year, I got married. Wife came up with me, had a son in Christmas. Later on, had a daughter. All that working with us at the same time for the 2 years. Then the 3rd year now, I would get a car out of money from the ministry in advance, bought a car, drive to somewhere, one of the, what they call it, used to be Hounslow, one of the parish equivalent of a parish council. So when I went for the interview, well, first of all, before that, and the same man who went to Trinidad saw my design, knew somebody who wanted to do a project in the Caribbean and asked me if I would go to him to interview me to see, because he had a project that was being done in the Caribbean. So I went, we tag along with the whole pile of books and drawings and so on. And he just said to me, show me your latest work. I showed it to him. He said, all right, I'd love to have you. Just one thing, if I don't like you, that is the end of it. If you like me, fine. But we can talk after a month.
Yeah.
So halfway through this thing, I'm on his own personal job, I was doing a design somewhere in Portugal. We were doing something in I think, I don't remember which one of the islands it was. Doing this thing on a golf course building. And halfway through this thing, I'm saying, look here, man, I can design. I need construction supervision. That is what I want to learn.
Yeah.
So midway, I go into his office and knock on the door. He said, "Yeah, man, we love you. We love you today. We want you to stay." I said, "But," he said, "What? You don't want to work with us?" I said, "It's not that, but I want to go and do some construction work." He said, "Boy, where you want to go?" And I told him. He said, "My God, one of the worst places in the country." He trying to discourage me, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I went. I had to do an interview. I carried all those 4 heap of drawings that I did at Caribbean Planning, printed them, that the head ones, print them and carry them with you because you might need to show them. So I showed them all my things. And then they accepted me, but I noticed that one of the fellows who was in my firm went one month ahead of me into that one. And he was getting more pay than me. So I'm saying something is wrong here, man. Anyway, I did what I had to do. I would work with a team of architects.
Yeah.
He was in the team as well. And I had a primary school that had designed, but it had come back overpaid. So they had to, my job now was to take it over and reduce it a bit to bring it back to the amount of money that they have to pay for it.
Within budget, yeah.
So I did that. So we work on the basis that, like, we're in a team, and my head one now, when we go to a site meeting, well, whenever I go to the site several times, once a week, he's go once a month now to the site meeting. And the contractor will say to him, "Well, so and so and so and so." And then my boss would turn to me and say, "Answer him." So I have to answer him because I know more about what is decided.
What he's saying,
he knows. But that is that's how you learn. I stayed there. I didn't get to finish the project, but it was at roof level when I left to come back home. So I don't want to extend it anymore. But basically, when I came back, I went back to the ministry. I was bonded for 5 years. I spent 6.5 years, and I do a whole pile of projects, included the Bustamante Monument. I done
which is what we're leading on to. Let me share some of that for the people, so they can, see some of the work that you've done. And the one that's dear to my heart is the Bustamante one, right out of Hero Circle. I remember playing on it. I remember eating crab on it. I'm sorry, don't disrespect. But but I tell you, we eat crab on it. We go buy crab right down at Fletcher's Land and come over and we eat crab. Because Marlon and I are from Almantown. Almantown is right there by Hero Circle.
Yeah, man.
We never played ball on it because of how it was structured. But
I used to play cricket from KC walk to the Hero
Circle.
I play cricket down there.
Right. So that one, I must say, man, when I saw this picture, and I am finding out last week that this was orchestrated by a KC old boy. We never knew that growing up in Almantown, and that one is special to me.
Well, it's special to me too.
So Errol, tell us what was the inspiration behind this design now?
Well, I used to work. What is the name? The head of the office where I used to work with it. I was on the board. Historic buildings. No. Anyway, there was a section of government that I used to work with. Well, let me put it this way: when I won the competition, the architect who was in charge of selecting the winner, he called me to come and said, "Bring your drawing with me because I want to make sure that this is the right drawing I had looked at." And I showed it to him, and he said, "Yes, this is the one, and this is the picture, the one we're going to use. And right after this, now, I want you to take over the work that I used to do at that ministry. It's your job now." So that is how I got involved into these historic buildings and so on. I went to Mexico, I went to Santo Domingo, I went to all over these places, and also even looking at things in Spanish Town. And I give you an example. In Spanish Town, people were pulling down the buildings because they want the bricks to sell. And I used to have to go there and talk to them, and I used to say to my boss, we need a bread, so we don't have no money. So you have to understand when we take down the bricks and sell them, we need it. And I go back to them and I tell them, these are the situations, but I tell you something, my work at Kingston College and also working in the what you'd call it, in West Kingston, them fellas used to send for me to come and play cricket with them, down Spanish Road and so on,
Pete, are you able to do this one page at a time, because it's not coming out as
sure.
we see it now.
All right. So which one you want?
Hold on, we're going to start from the beginning. I just want him to do one page at a time, because this setup that he has, some of the photos seem to be crossing over.
All right. Well, this is the first one.
Yeah, so that's the monument that we
The one
understand.
at the top is the birthplace of Norman Manley.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a little room for what you'd call people could come and see it and see all the artifacts and so on. It's a small museum where Michael Mann, not Michael, his father, Norman Manley, where he was held.
What's the one below that now?
The one below that is Kingston Public Hospital.
Okay.
That was a bridge across the road. And I spent 13 years, this is after I'm back in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
And I had left the ministry now and out on my own. I spent 13 years revamping Kingston Public Hospital and Jubilee, because it was at the time when there were firebombing this place. It was 1976,
Mm-hmm.
with politics and all that kind of thing. So I was able to work in Kingston Public Hospital for a long time. And I tell you something, we did a lot of work because they had just built what do you call it, an operating section, theater. And they couldn't go there, because they used to fire shots at them from across the road of an old building.
Wow.
So the place was almost, everything had stopped. It was really bad. So I won that competition technically because it was advertised in the newspaper, and my business partner, who I met when we were in the ministry, and we left together. His name was Andrew Graham. He came from Scotland, but he was a quantity surveyor. So that building, we spent 13 years working on it to get it back up to scratch.
Yeah, 1987 to 2000.
2000.
Yeah.
And
So
I remember when it was being opened, so to speak, it was Mr. Siaga's area, and he was so pleased.
yeah, because that falls into West Kingston.
Yes, and later on, things would happen where I would get the opportunity to work with him on various things. In
Other
fact,
projects.
before he even knew that, I remember when he talked about the monument for Bustamante,
Mhm.
he was a guest speaker, and he spoke eloquently, and he basically said, look, Mr. Alberga did a good job, but Bustamante didn't need anyone to speak about it, sort of thing. That was how we approached it. All right, the other one now is the Caribbean Region Drug Testing Laboratory.
Yeah.
When I got to the ministry, that was the first job they put in my hand. A fellow who came from England, and his term was office and was leaving. And the chief architect gave that me to do, and that was my first job that I did.
One below it, the Bodles Agricultural Research Center.
Bodles, all right. That one, I told you about that chief architect. Well, he was the deputy chief architect when I went abroad. When I came back now, he had become the director of technical services. So he was hired on a chief architect. And what happened in this one is that one day I got a call from the same architect, Mustin Campbell. And he called me on the phone and he said, come, I want you to come and talk to somebody from me. And there was this doctor from the Ministry of Agriculture. And they said, well, they have a, what you'd call the one of the technical people from overseas. Not OAS, IDB came and wanted, the government tried to get them to come and help. What is the situation now? The IDB could not work in the ministry because the ministry is a separate individual from an IDB, Inter-American Development Bank. So I'd have to set up a new office away from the ministry. So when I went there, when I got a call from the architect, he said, this is Dr. So-and-so. They want to do this project, and I just want to tell you about it. And so you can take him back to my office and tell him what it is about. And that's where we started with that project. So that project, again, I left the building before it was completed or started. But I had a good friend of mine. Well, I got him at the time when he came to that area, and he had 1 year to go to school. A fellow called Woodstock, and when he came with two other fellows and they were doing model making and so on, I could see that he had the talent. So when my boss said to me, choose anybody you want to put into that team because we have to win this project. Win meaning it's the first that win any project outside of the ministry. So I was the head one, and I chose him when he was doing his final year. I called him. I said, I need you for this project. And that's how I went into it.
What's the next one, Pete?
All right. The one on the left is the National Forensic. No, that is Remand Center.
Remand Center. Yeah.
Yes. Horizon Remand Center.
ARC.
It says 7. It said around. Horizon. It's a different. The things are mixed up.
Yeah.
All right. The one on the left is the Horizon Remand Center. The one on the right is the Central Village Police Station.
Yeah.
What's the next one, Pete?
All right, hold on.
Next page over.
Hold on. Now we want to get to the 40th one.
All right. Blue Cross of Jamaica headquarters. Again, this one was renovation of the existing building, and we did some new buildings at the back, for commercial, and we had two 3-story apartment buildings on Cleveland Avenue. So again, that was one of the projects that we did. The other one on the right, it was the headquarters for Jamaica Public Service Company in St. Anne's Bay. So that, all right. Graham, it says Graham Jamaica Office Building. It's Alberga. If you look up at it, it's former Alberga Graham. Jamaica. Yes, former Alberga Graham. That was our office. We bought the land, we built the building, and we went into it, and we had the European Union came in and some other people. So it was rented 2/3, even 3/4, and we had our office in there.
Okay.
To the point where we even put on another floor onto that building. And when we sold it, it was fully occupied.
Nice.
And the one on the top is showing you the inside of our building.
Okay.
And I won an award for that one because we use a lot of aluminum in the building for all the window frames and so on.
Non-traditional materials back then.
Yes, and I won that one for best use of aluminum.
Nice.
The one at the bottom, right, on the left now, that one was the
Marine Pilots Building.
The Marine Pilots Building.
I was just about to say this thing look like a boat.
Well, that's exactly what it was done, and it was shown up in that way. We designed it
Yes.
like a truck, like a bus, not
Yeah.
a bus,
A
but like
boat,
a
a
boat.
vessel.
And
Yes.
then
Yeah.
we even the windows on the top, which you can't see from here, the
Mm-hmm.
windows were sloping, and it was in such a position that they could get full view on the harbor of any ship coming in
Mm-hmm.
from Port Royal all the way in. And it was even where some of the ships might be coming in at night. So we
Mm-hmm.
had people could live on site, sleep on site. A very interesting building.
Yeah.
Didn't want that one. Now I got into my buildings of what they used to call the glass man. I did a lot of buildings with glass. All right, so this one was UGI,
UGI. Mm.
yeah, UGI, United General Insurance Company, all glass, double glazing. So that was one, which was the other one.
Next one. Jam Pro.
Right, this one was Jam Pro. This was the first one we did with a lot of glass. This was a single glass, but we did it with the tinted and we did the sunscreens on both sides. That one, we tell you, we did a team with Island Life, who owned that building. We built that building 6 floors in 8 months. We started on the floor and we used to build the floors every 3 months, every 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
If we were late, rain might stop it or whatever, we were pouring cement at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that we kept on time.
Met
And I
the
could have done
deadline.
the time less if I had done it with carpet, but we didn't use carpet. We used tiles, and the tiling was slower.
Yeah.
So that was the first of the glass buildings. When I did this building, there was an engineer who used to work at UDC, but he used to do a thing for the Star. And you know what the headline was on the Star? When are the buildings going to run when all the glass drop out on top of them? That was on the Star, you know. Well, let me tell you, when Gilbert passed through, and I was fretting up at my house up in Stonehill if something will happen. When I go down, all that happened was that the building got a clean wash of rain.
Nice.
Not one glass broke.
Wow.
Nice.
Well,
But that's good promotion for the work that you done and the quality as well.
Yes.
Because
And
Gilbert, I think, was a category 4.
5.
5. Gilbert was category 5.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Proper
But you see,
thing.
the sunscreens and so on help to break the thing.
Okay.
So it also works the sunshine where it works on the east and
No
on the
wind
west.
and so
And
forth.
we got a machine, let me call it a machine, that we got out of the United States, and they had to clear it because it was so new that they didn't want the Russians get in charge inside of it. That's what I heard, by the way. So when in the morning it can vent out the old air and bring in new air. It would turn the air where the sun is to keep the place cool. And as it goes over, the machine stands and it works over to the other side. So all that was new in the history of this thing.
And then
the second one now,
Courtly Hotel, the Courtly Corporate Center.
Well, yes, but it was usually called the Island Life Building.
Island Life Building, yes.
Right. So that was the largest building I've ever done. It's a 10-story building. It has underground parking. It has the theater that can hold over 420 people. And then it had offices on the
How long did this project take, Errol?
This project took, well, I remember one of the contractors who was there, used to work with them. And when I went on site, I was on another site before, and he used to be down in Kingston. So he knew me. So when I went on this one, he said, "Boss, what are you doing here?" I said, "I'm coming to finish this building." He said, "How long are you going to take you?" So I said to him, I want this thing finished in 18 months, no less than that. He said, "No, boss, it can't finish in 2 years." I said, "Look here, man. You know why I'm telling you that? Because them don't work out their money.
Yeah, man. Them wants to drag out the things so them can
Yeah,
get
that's
more.
right, and
you
they
know.
want to drag it out. And I tell you, no care how hard I tried, I could not get them to finish it in 18 months. But we got it in sections. So the lower section, we could start bringing people in.
People in, yes.
While up the top was being finished. We
Finished.
had 4 apartments on the top where the, what do you call it, the government town planner, it was new, fairly new in New Kingston. And they wanted to encourage people to live in the area
Living in
because
Kingston.
it was a situation where people would just leave and go home at night and it would be
Yes.
dead. So this was one of the things. They allowed us to give us these 4 apartments on the top. And it started a thing that worked.
Yeah.
So you could see the inside of the building a while ago with the escalator.
Excellent, Pete. Okay, so that's
Yeah,
inside.
So and you see the auditorium and the escalator.
Yeah.
The other
And
one
that's
now, this is Rotary, where I was a member of Rotary, and we built this for the community in Stony Hill. So
Okay. Next, Pete.
this, if you look at the one down below, all right. We'll
Sorry.
go back to, yes, that one was an area in Stony Hill where the land was lower than the road by a good 10 feet. But they had a hill further to the back. So with our community spirit, we know people. So I worked with, what was it? Tanquil. We knew the Tanquil people, and they loaned us a bulldozer, and they dug down the mountain, and we filled up the land and got a level land, as you can see there, where we could play cricket on it, football on it, and then we built this the pavilion, and we had inside it with bathrooms and so on. And I can tell you that all of that building was built out of stone, all the stone that we dug out of the land.
Nice.
Yeah, I could see it on the corner, like for our people there. You can see that's all stone.
Yes, yeah, that was all stone, inside and out. Everything was stone.
Wow.
All right, this was church hall support for which one? Stella Maris Church. Right, my daughter and myself worked on that one when she had started now her career. Very nice project. And it has a nice courtyard in it. And you can see the large, what do you call this one? The community hall where they do these people doing karate and so on. And then the one below it now was a church in North Street that fire had burnt down. And we had done with the people, some of the, on the 3 top 2 and the one on the left. You can see where we created, built it over new, and they were so happy because one of my friends used to work there, and a lot of my projects, I do for free, because trust me, the more you do free is the more people think about you.
Nice.
And I do a lot of that.
So this one at the bottom right is what now? Flow corporate office.
Right, yes, bottom right is flow. And we used a lot of plants on it.
Yeah.
And then when it was really the contract, the people from England, not the music, the English people were doing it. And then the equivalent of GPS. Right? And we did it. And then after it was finished, that one is full glazing with the double glazing again. And you could walk out on the outside. But this man from the Ministry of Labour now, he passing by one day and said that we have to put up handrails because people can walk on the outside. But him don't know what the thing is, because I had if I could, I used to have a picture where you could go out and walk on the place. And even so, nobody needs to go there more than twice a month because we were using what was the prickly picture, the prickles, things that we used to do with the prickles, and that used to hang over. No, it's not. Bougainvillea. Bougainvillea, we had water pipes running around with drip irrigation and all this kind of thing. but they didn't know. So the man come and insist that we have to take down put on the handrails. So the English people just got mad and just say, you know what, take out the chair, the plants out there. And that is what ended up, which I mean, I'm so disappointed. That sometimes comes
because the bougainvilleas, because of how they grow and they spread, they just form a natural barrier.
And
so you have to worry about the railing.
The rain. Yeah, and it was different colors and so on. The building was so beautiful.
And railing don't really stop anybody if they want to do whatever they want to do, you know. They can walk over it. But yes.
Well, that is a problem. All right, this one now.
Rockstone.
This one is the house that I designed for my parents, my wife's parents, my wife's brother, his brother, and eventually over time, and my sister-in-law as well. So it's an apartment of five apartments. All of that stones were built out of stone off the site. And I had built, myself, my wife and myself, we had built our house started in 1980, just after I left the ministry. I don't know, you'll see it come up later on. But you can see inside, all of the entire inside is stone. The only place in that building that is not stone would be ceilings and in a bathroom where you'd have a bath. Or so. All the stones are from this one now was the one in Red Hills that I done. I didn't win I think I won an award. But there was an architect from Trinidad who did a lot of photography, and he came to Jamaica. Well, we gave him he asked for for photographs of some of my projects. So I sent him that one. I sent him the monument in Heroes Park, and I sent him there's a third one. Anyway, and he came. So this is one of them. It was for a doctor in Redditch. And it was put into a book that he made.
Okay.
So that is one.
So what you want to cover briefly now, Errol, are just the two other areas, the silver medal and the fellowship. So just quickly explain this one, and then we'll move to the silver medal.
You mean the monument?
No. The fact that you said you were awarded, you became an elected fellow of the Royal Institute of British Architects. What does that mean? You know, what the status of that fellowship?
All right. As a fellow, well, you start out as a member of the Royal Institute of British Architects. That was when I finished with my studies, worked with the Hounslow, whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was like
it was like the what you
Parish
said,
Council.
Parish Council,
right.
Yes.
So I worked there for 2 years, got my fellowship, not 2, membership now. So I'm fully qualified as an architect. Most people go to England, get their qualification, but they're not architects by the British
standard.
So they come to Jamaica and they are called architects, but they are not.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I did, yes, I did to get the RIBA, I made a member in 1974 when I came home. I came home in March of 1974, and I don't remember the date, but I became a member of the Royal member, not fellow, of the Royal Institute of British Architects. I was a member for that right the way up to, I think it was about 2014, 2015. And I used to go up to England from time to time, going to other places, like I used to go to Dubai, used to go all over the place, mainly through road trip, but I used to go to look at architecture. So we worked on which one I was doing a while ago. Yeah, so when I went, one of the times I went to the to the Royal Institute of British Architects. They told me that they were going to bring back the fellowship. So I said, well, it's something that when I go back, I can look forward to.
Yeah.
So when they brought it up, because I am a member, I get all the news. I get that on the computer and so on. So I sat down and looked at all the things that you had to qualify for, and I did my presentation, and I had to get it verified by the various people who can tell them that yes, it's true, he's telling the truth, so to speak. And the chairman for that committee called me on the phone, and he said to me, I want to congratulate you. We have never seen anything like that. And he said, anyway, the president...
But before you go on though, Errol, like that, I mean, which the volume of work and the quality of work that you've done over that period of time.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I did a lot of work on the Jamaican Institute of Architects. I did a lot of things. And I did a lot of things that I was chairman of boards. I was on a lot of things. All right. So for that one, I got the fellowship from that. This one you're looking at is the Musgrave Medal of the Institute of Jamaica. I got the silver Musgrave Medal.
Yeah.
Obviously, I couldn't get the gold because when you have the two, what do you call it? Yeah, what them name again? It used to fly on Robbie, man. Sly and Robbie.
Sly and Robbie.
At the goal. There is no way this one is world international.
You build them a sing and play rhythm.
No, man, no. But they knew. I mean, he was international. I was not at that level.
Yeah.
You know, but I got the silver Musgrave.
Yeah.
And I was thankful for it.
Yeah.
And they gave me a citation for it as well. And
to confirm, you also got a national award, correct?
Yes, I got an OD.
OD. Okay, thank you. All right, so, and final thing for us would be this building.
Right. Okay. I came home in 74. I don't remember what happened, but Patrick McIntosh, he was a few years after me. But he was working at the school, doing a lot of things at the school. And I don't remember whether I did something for him at his house first, or he got in touch with me before and asked me if I would come and help the school because they needed, especially they had a fire and so on, and they needed to look at this, how we can improve the school. So this was about 1988, I think it was. So I did a comprehensive school for North Street, where, like on the woodwork shop, I would put 2 more floors on top. Like the laboratories, those were okay, and so on. And then we also shown that we'll put up an auditorium, because at the time they had dug the swimming pool, but the people in the area wouldn't allow them to swim. Because they locked them out and they didn't want them to go into the school. So they used to throw dead dogs into you knew about that. So they had to take out the water and killed it for that time. So when we did it with this, when we did the auditorium, we built it over the swimming pool. And we could put a flooring when you need it. You can lift it up or put it down back into as a swimming pool. And then well, they had already started doing baseball and so on. But going fast forward, 1988, I did that. And then later on, I think it's about 1990, we had actually did some drawings. And we did the Douglas Forrest Building as a design, which I showed you. This is what Stibel had done with it after. But anyway, so in 1990, we built it, I think it was 1990, 1994. I don't remember. But I know my father, you see how time goes around. My father became the Bursa at Kingston College.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there working while he was there as the Bursa.
Yeah.
And we built that ground floor alone because they didn't have any money to go further. But the headmaster worked in, my father worked in, and we knew we were going to put on 2 more floors because we showed it as a design to be a 3-story building. And we set up the potential for the upper floors. So anyway, forward now to 2009. I am doing a lot of things. Douglas Forrest, architect, we have worked together. He was a few years behind me. I think he did his work in United States. Yeah. And then he came, and then when I was the chairman of the registration board, he was my secretary, and we worked together. And we had a KC connection as well. So when we reached to 2009 now, I had became governor for a year for Rotary, and I would have to go all over the Caribbean. It was like you go away for a week, you come back, you change your clothes, 4 days, you go back again. And I was going all over the place. So before I go, I called Doug. I said, Doug, I have to go abroad. I can't manage it, and you are the best man to take it over. I said, you take it over and run with it. And he did.
Yes.
So when I came back, it was his job as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And for years, they couldn't get the money. But I can tell you, he had a connection with, what's the name of it? Eh? Who? No, man. The contractors. Gian, not Gian. Anyway, it's the one that is a one that does a lot of work.
Yeah.
But anyway, one of their members is Matalan man, the Matalan group. Matalan group. It just so happens that one of the members of the Matalan group was a Kingston College old boy. And he went on the board of Kingston College, and he got the money to put on the 2 more floors. And that is how it went.
It was completed.
Right. So by this time, the board was changing some area, some people, but they decided, the committee, that it would be nice to have a elevator. And I thought it a very good idea, and they put that in. So, I heard about it because once I leave, what's his name? Doug Forrest. I don't get in his way. We talk, This is his job.
Yeah.
And then he developed and so on. I had a little different picture in terms of what the outside would be. I didn't have the purple at the bottom, but it worked.
Yeah, man.
And I never really got there until November of this year, when we have a Kingston College group between 58 and 59, where we meet as a group. And well, not only annually, but we have a WhatsApp group. And one of them came as an architect from Florida, and he wanted to come and look. And when he came, I took him down there, and both of us looked at it. And the chairman, we met the chairman there. The chairman is at the school, is my friend right now.
Michael?
Yeah.
Bastiana.
Michael Bastiana, yeah.
Bastiana, my good friend. And so when I went, he was there waiting for me, and took us around, and we met with the head of the school, and I met him, and so on. So it was good to see what was done. Some of the things that probably I may not have done it that way, but I think Doug Forrest has done a very good job, and he has done the gate over now, where he's widened the gate and so on, and the school is looking up.
Yes, it is.
I give thanks to Sibel.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, Errol, thank you very much. That was a very, very, very interesting
I
journey.
chat too much, man.
No, sir.
Oh,
Errol,
trust that.
no, Errol, no. I tell you this, we have had quite a few old boys we've interviewed, and that's why it meant to be a conversation,
Yes,
you know,
yes,
and for
yes.
you to tell your story. So it's not like us. We're not trying to find anything to say or to ask. It's to listen, because a lot of it is for us to learn as well. And it's good to see the achievements of our old boys, because to see that you are so involved with how the shaping of the structures across the island and in Kingston, and even though you've done some work overseas, it's good. So don't think about talking too much. Not at all. We want to hear the story. The only issue now is that, you know, I know my brother have another timeline, but he will make it. He will make it. But we appreciate it, and we appreciate that. So as we discussed before, Errol, we just want you 2 more words. 1, to say happy 100 to KC.
Yes.
And 2, to just leave a positive message to the young ones before you leave.
Yeah, that's a difficult one, but I'm going to try. Let me tell you something. The boys of today are a total different set of people from when you were there in 58 and 65. Trust me, I can tell you that, right? So it's a difficult change. And I'll also say to you that when Douglas Forrest retired, we went through a period of several different headmasters. And I know they had difficulty in trying to keep them in the right rather than the wrong. Don't go get me wrong, you know. I remember when we used to go for our lunch out the road, you know, and we used to have one person who ride a bicycle and go down to Classic and buy our lunch. And then if Dr. Forrest catch you, you know, that's links. You're going to get whole heap of slip.
Yes.
So you know, everyone, all of us used to do a little thing on the side, take a break, you know. But I would say to the young members today, Kingston College is one of the best schools right now, without a doubt. And I'm not talking about necessarily Olympic, what do you call it, champs or football or
sports,
cricket. I mean, you can look and listen to all the people who get in different types of accolades, not accolades, but even getting new things that they can go abroad. You have the Minister of, what's his name?
Minister of Justice.
Eh? Justice, Minister of Justice. He's a KC old boy.
Yeah.
And he got overseas, whatever you call it. He got scholarships abroad. So when you look at those people, but as I said, now we start looking back at the school with our group of 58 and 59. Every 2 years we meet, because they're spread out all over the Caribbean. Not so much the Caribbean, it's more Florida. And we meet at FDR, where Frankie runs that hotel. And we go and we spend a few days, a weekend, and every 2 weeks they come out and come back. So we had one in November last year, and you know, you get to meet your friends. Unfortunately, some pass away along the way. But we have that we have that camaraderie going in the school. And Clive Nicholson is keeping us together. He was a head boy in 65. And as I tell you, he came first when I came second in the school out of the 177. So, you know, we have a thing going together. And the school needs that kind of help. So we do as much as we can.
So we got the positive message, Errol, but we want to hear the happy 100 anniversary. We want to hear that part there too. To wish the school happy 100.
Well, obviously I'm going to wish the school. I mean, I have a brother-in-law who was 3 years behind after me. And he has already booked his ticket to come and stay with me in April when it's the true 100. And I will be there. I have a watch that him give me. I have, and it marked Kingston College too, you know.
Yes.
All the things, because he has been the chairman over in Florida in his group. So he's in the Florida group.
What's his name? What's his
Wayne
name?
Fraser?
No, is Donald Smith.
Okay.
Right, Donald Smith. So and so I'll be there, trust me.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of, I have another friend who went to school with me, Ian McPherson. He's in States, New York. He'll be coming out. He's going to probably stay with me, but he has people here as well. And I will certainly take him around. So I am not going to miss anything.
That's right. That's right.
I'll be right here.
That's right. And we will see you there too, sir, from the old till the now till the then.
Before Pete wrap up though, Errol, because this interview would not have happened, would not have gotten to this stage without that voice we hear in the background. So I know that your daughter is there, and I hope she's not camera shy if she wants to. Let us see her face, just to let her, because there's a Fortis family. We're here in the background helping you out. She wanted us.
She just coming to show her face.
Yes, man. So we can see who's there.
My parents have done so much for me that, this is nothing. It's a pleasure. And
thank you very much, ma'am. And what's your name?
Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy. I appreciate it very much.
You're welcome. Good to meet you.
Have a good day.
Thanks.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right. So go ahead, Pete.
So, man, again, another epic moment of the Kingston College journey. You heard it from the man himself, the only Caribbean architect to be awarded the Fellow of the Royal Institute of British Architects came from Kingston College, right? The man who said his hands does the great magic that we've all seen, the Bustamante podium that he's put up, all these things, the monuments are the one that I eat crab on many times as a little boy, right? Man, it has come to full force, which is why the 1925 and Beyond podcast is doing this. So we want to say, sir, thank you for your time. Thank you for what you've done for Jamaica and the art and the actual history you've helped to create. Because I can tell you, this one little boy in front of you is one that you've touched with the things that you've done with your God-given talents. But before we wrap up, sir, there's one thing we all do on this podcast as Kingston College Old Boys, and we have to rip the motto. So you know how it goes. It goes simple as this. Fortis.
Cadere.
None protest. The brave may fall, but never yield.
I just want to say one quick one to you.
Yes.
Can I?
Yeah.
At the time when I won the Bustamante Monument,
yeah,
just before that, I was in the ministry. I went for a competition in Ghana for the Commonwealth Association. What is it called? I don't remember what they called it. And I was shortlisted. So about 30 people from over the Caribbean, and they brought us down to 6. So I was one of the 6. I didn't win it, but I came within the 6.
Yes.
And today I have people who I know who go there, and I have spoken to them and told them and showed them what my design was.
Oh, my gosh.
Wanted to fit that in.
Man, and that's the perfect way to end, because we've learned on this podcast, it is Fortis then, it is Fortis now, and it is Fortis forever. See you on the next episode, 1925 and beyond.
And I have to thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
The one and only Errol Alberga.